Hey y'all, well here it is Saturday evening. We've had a nice sunny day here on this old East Texas farm. A little cloudy right now, but that's alright. Sissy's catching bugs. Get them? That's a good girl. She might just accompany us with our little walk and talk tonight. You want to go with us? Huh? Yeah, she has a new critter to take care of. I hadn't spilled the beans. I might post a little quick video or a picture later in Washboard Musings. Before I get into tonight's walk and talk, it's been a very, very productive day. Thank the Lord for the sunshine today. But this old phone of mine is acting up. It's turned into just about like my old rubber boots. I got flip-flops on. There's a reason for that. Them rubber boots are like flip-flops right now because they got splits in them, so it doesn't do no good to walk through them in socks and water because socks are going to get wet, and there ain't nothing worse than wet socks. Not too much worse. Maybe a toothache or an earache, but they're pretty close. Anyway, so we've got us a critter in the house, and Sissy has decided that's her baby now. It's a little white kitten with blue eyes that came from my cousin down the road. My little wildflower there was 3 of them, and my little wildflower from Georgetown took 2 home, one for her and one for her mama. And I found out later through my sister that I never knew this. I don't know why I didn't, but Mom always wanted a white cat with blue eyes, and here we've got one in this old home place. And them old mice that ate them tomatoes, I hadn't seen one in weeks, but they don't stand a chance now. I say that because when I had my little birthday weekend, some mouse or something in this old house, they got in there and ate the tops off of every one of my tomato plants. I had 200 of them started from January. So I got frustrated, came out here and just threw them in the dirt right here at the eave. There's no gutters on this place. Of course, I used to catch rainwater. But lo and behold, if I don't have tomatoes by the porch. I thought about moving them, but why would you do that? I mean, walk out on your front porch and grab a ripe tomato. I guess that's coming, right? Come on, Sissy, let's go walk. No, it's been a good day. I've always enjoyed different things, I guess, and one of those today made me think of it. I kind of chuckled. If this old phone dies, that's what I was referencing. I've got off track again. It died last video during roll call. I ran over it with that old disc early in the year, had it repaired on both sides, but something is jacked up on it, and I'm at about 70% right now, but it'll probably die at some point. If it does, I guess I'll try to post wherever we left off if we don't get it all out. But it's been a good day here. But I was saying I used to love to play different games, and one of my favorite pastimes was Texas Hold'em, believe it or not. And enjoy playing a little poker every now and then. And there was a phrase when you thought you had the best hand, and it was down to the turn and the river. If you thought you could get them off the hand and beat them, you went all in, right? I mean, put it all out on the table, hoping you had the best one. Well, I've done that today, in a manner of speaking. We battled this old garden. We've got a good stand of peas on the upper half. And finally caught a little sunshine, enough to not really dry it out, but at least to make a decent working environment. It's pitter-pattered rain a little bit today. But we are done for the 2021 planting season as far as I'm concerned. We have no buckets of seeds for DW to get in there and knock over like he did yesterday. I've got the seed table is done for the year. All these were seed starts, but just too much rain that never came up. I picked a few out, but I do have some marigolds still left to stick out in the garden. And y'all remember how big that one is, right? Just a little plant in a cup. Same age as the ones I'm about to show you once they got a little room to move, right? But DW has actually behaved today. I'm sorry. Sissy's out in the garden catching flies. She is something else. You hear that thunder? She don't like that. She'll be all right. But since we got that little cat, she's decided that that's her baby. And we've let her sleep in the den there the last few nights. She won't come into the house till she sees that cat. And then it's her little pet project to deal with. But the lower half of this garden, washed and washed and washed, as most of you know. Well, I got out here and we planted more peas today. And it wasn't I think I planted 100 tomatoes back yonder. Got yellow skin. And I know I'm late. It don't even matter. I mean, everybody's struggling this year, but late is relative, right? Just like a weed is relative, and we might talk about that here in a minute. But got everything in the ground. The reason I did is I got a little confidence. It's something I probably should have adhered to a month and a half, 2 months ago, when we got that first flash flood. I was, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was griping about it on one of our many daily talks with my wildflower, and of course she's a fixer like I am. That's a pretty good thing, you know. We come across different relationships in our life, and I've had a few, and they're kind of like barbed wire. They had their good points, but this one's a whole nother ball game. When somebody adores you and loves you for who you are and your goofiness and your hard-headedness, it's just a different situation. But she was really wanting to fix it because I was upset about all the peas washing. This is 3 plantings ago. She's like, you can't get out there and do anything about it? And I'm like, well, not really. I'm hard-headed. Men usually are. And surely she couldn't know better than I, being up here gardening. It reminded me of that old story, those 3 boys hiking. They was on a long hike, and they came up on a violent river. I'm talking about a bad one. They didn't know how they was going to get across it. So they decided to pray. It's always a good move. First old boy asked God for strength to cross that river. Poof. Here he goes. He jumped in, he battled, and he had upper body strength, and his legs were bigger. He swam across that river. It took him 2 hours. He almost drowned twice, but he made it. Well, the other 2 sitting there wanted to do the same. So the next one said, you know what? Lord, grant me the strength and the tools to cross that river. Poof, there was a rowboat. Old boy's upper body strength was there. And he rode over that river like it wasn't nothing. It took him an hour, and he actually capsized once, but he made it. Well, the third man, he saw all this that had happened. He was going to outsmart them all. He said, you know what? Good Lord, I pray that I have the strength, the tools, and the intelligence to cross that river. Poof. Immediately, he was a woman. Checked the map, walked 100 yards up, and crossed the bridge without a problem. Isn't that something? Us old guys are hard-headed sometimes. But we checked the map, and I think we've rectified a big part of the problem. My cousin came by the other day with his skid steer, the one that almost knocked me out, but we survived it. And dug us a good irrigation ditch that I already kind of had going on, but not irrigation, but drainage. So it's running off that way, and we had a problem down here, so we got that done. Speaking of which, y'all remember that marigold we just talked about? That's what it looks like, same age as the other one. But when it gets good ground and some room to move. Isn't that something? So I've been holding off on my tomatoes and planting them. Any of you that have planted tomatoes or gardened for any length of time know that you got to start it. If you're going to do seeds, it takes a while. It takes 6-8 weeks to get it up to ready to plant. Well, we had to punt today because this rain was falling a little bit now, but I'm not complaining because I didn't have to pre-soak anything. I was patting that ground today, putting those tomatoes in, and they don't need water this evening. There's plenty of water in the ground. But I'm going to do a little new method over here. I've got a couple of things going on. A good friend had sent me a documentary I think it's Kiss the Ground, Kiss the Soil, something about no-till. And sure wish I'd have watched it earlier, because that would have made a difference on this place. So, long and short, I've had a master gardener tell me I'm on the right track, and I've had another master gardener tell me I'm absolutely crazy because it just won't work. But I'm kind of hard-headed, as I said, so we're going to see what happens. This area right here off the main garden has been our worst wash. A lot of topsoil has ran downhill, and we didn't have any remedy. But I let it go for about a month and a half, 2 months. I'd planned to plant tomatoes over here, but was about to give up because of the wash. So in that time, spring and the warm temperatures had brought grass and weeds. And so I got the old mower out the other day, mowed them down short, and then tilled them back into the earth where I wanted to plant. So we're going to see what happens here. I've got right at 100 tomatoes planted. They're small. But let me show you here. We're not going to mow in between the row. I mean, we're not going to weed or till. That's just going to be turf right there. And there's your tomato plant row. I'll keep that free of weeds. But that those old weeds and grass, y'all already know if you've seen any type of flood zone, you see an old pasture that's flooded in the bottom land. It's only temporary, but when it recedes, that grass is still standing, and so is the soil. So we're going to use that theory and see what happens. Thought I'd kick it up a notch just because I'm ornery like that. And I've never heard anybody just planting tomato seeds directly into the ground expecting them to make anything. You got to start them, or you got to buy them at Lowe's or whatever. I don't do that, but I do start them and let them get kind of acclimated. But I'm doing this little spot right here. And I may have to eat crow, but I've done that before, literally. But don't hurt nothing to try. Let's just see. We're going to leave weeds on either side and keep it mowed. I've got tomato seeds in that section. Of course, we've got lots of tomato plants here. They don't look too big. They were, till I got a hold of them. And I was out here sweated out. I mean, it was hot, y'all, today. Wasn't complaining. But it got me to thinking. May have referenced it before, maybe even last year. But a tomato plant, if you grow it from seed, and some of y'all may not have done that, but it'll come up, it'll produce a couple little seed leaves, we call them. And then it starts shooting up. Maybe you transplant it once into a little bigger item. Most of the time you put it in a flat. Oh, I don't know, 3 or 4 will come up in each of the little holes, and then you cull it down to the best one. Then you move it. And after it's been acclimated to the sun and the temperature, about a month in, you go ahead and plant it in the ground. So I'm breaking the rules there. But what I realized tonight, it's funny, all the stuff that this old farm teaches me, how relevant that is even to our lives. I take that tomato plant out of where it was planted. The seed came up, it flourished, it was going to do fine. And I buried it up to the first leaf. Sometimes I'd even chop the leaf off. Definitely take the first 2 leaves off, trim it back a little bit, and bury it to the hilt. If you've ever looked at a young tomato plant, you see all those little white spines on the stem. Those are roots if they hit the ground. Trouble is, if you plant it without burying it up to the leaves, some of y'all know this, it'll grow, it'll probably produce tomatoes, but it doesn't have that root structure. It's not strong. It hadn't had to deal with adversity. And sometimes when that fruit comes on, as pretty as it is, it breaks the plant. It doesn't know how to handle the weight of success. But if you bury it, put it through some trouble, some dirt, if you will, around it, up to that first leaf, it has an opportunity to develop roots, become strong, so that when all that weight gets on that poor little plant, it can hold, because its roots have been able to develop. I thought about that with each plant that I put in today. It's so true even with life. We see stories of people with unearned success, a windfall, lottery. Just can't handle it. Well, hey, y'all, again, I guess it gave up on me. If it does it again, I'll just pre-record it and throw it up on the page, and you can find it there. But we were talking about those that don't have the roots, that come into a windfall, lottery, whatever. And when that fruit weighs heavy on the vine, they do not have the roots to support it most times, unfortunately. So I thought about that today. That's good stuff. But that's rough right there. She's digging up a pea patch, but I don't know. The trade-off's kind of fair. Sissy, leave that alone. Come on. You know, I think time and wisdom, or I don't know if it's wisdom, it's just the way I think. If I'm going to spot a fool, they got to meet 3 characteristics. And I mean that endearingly. First, they believe that there is no God or creator. Secondly, they think they can win in an argument with a woman. And 2 or 3, they think they can beat an old billy goat. So that's kind of my standard. But told one on us men a while ago about the river. But counterbalanced a little bit. Old boy and lady had a poodle. And I'm talking about it was their love of their life. They didn't have any kids, and that was where their affection went. Well, the wife went out of town for an extended trip overseas and called the husband from New York on her way to Rome and just checking on things. And he didn't have any tact, poor thing, didn't have any sense. She said, "How are things?" She said, "The dog's dead," or he did. And she's like, "Are you serious?" So she was upset about it. Said, "You don't have any tact. Couldn't you do any better than that?" He's like, "What, just tell you the dog died?" She's like, "No, break it to me in stages. So when I call you from New York, maybe tell me that the dog went out on the roof. And then when I get to London the next day and call you, maybe tell me that he fell off the roof and you took him to the vet and it's not looking good. And then when I finally get to Rome and I call you to check in, then tell me he died. Don't just do it all in one hit." He's like, "Baby, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I'm just telling you the truth." She's like, "I know, but just work on that." And he said, "All right, I'll do better." She said, "By the way, how's Mother?" He said, "She's on the roof." Be careful what you wish for there, right? Ain't that something? Now, Sissy, I just planted that, baby. You got all this dirt to dig in to lay down, and you're going to mess up my peas. So here in a week or two, when these peas come up and there's not anything right there, fly catcher got them. You have just torn up a whole day's work, girl. You don't even care, do you? Nope, you don't, because you know I ain't going to mess with you. Come on, let's go over here. Come on, get out of there. She loves that cool dirt. That's I usually give her a little bit to play in, but I guess it was more than she could take. But I'm kind of like the old pig at the farmyard conversation. I think it was him and the old cow and the chicken sitting around talking about things and who did more on the farm. Old cow popped up and said, "Man, I think I do the most. They milk me every morning, every night. I give them milk for their family and those babies." Old chicken said, "I don't know, man. It takes a little bit to lay an egg, and they enjoy those eggs for breakfast every morning. So I'm pretty invested in this thing." The old pig piped up. He said, "Y'all ain't got nothing on me." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Son, they don't come to me until they need meat. That means I'm fully invested." So that's kind of where I'm at tonight. All the peas are planted. Hopefully they'll come up. Well, except for that spot. That's all right. I've got squash out. I've been holding all my seeds, looking for a little sunny break. Now we can bring the rain, and it's okay. If it don't happen this round, then we'll just have to wait till next year, right? We trust as we move along, and that's okay. Not going to be negative like that old girl that was taking her first skydiving foray. Her name was Gertrude. That was my Mama's middle name. Mama would never jumped out of a plane. I know that for a fact. She didn't even want to get off that porch unless it was the whole garden. But she took first flight, and the old instructor said, look, here's the deal. There's a big cord on that parachute. You pull that. If it doesn't work, you pull the little one, and you'll be all right. And there'll be a red truck waiting on you when you land. She's like, all right. So she jumped out of the plane. Sure enough, first cord didn't work. She tugged on it. Nothing happened. Okay, well, she went to the next cord, the little one. Pulled on it for a whole 5 minutes. Nothing happened. She thought to herself, well, I guess the red truck ain't going to be there either. Some people don't get it, do they? I don't know if that's a positive attitude or a negative one, right? Oh, well, I guess we can all do better. Our president had a wife. His name was FDR, or that's what we call him, back in the mid-30s. I've always loved this quote from her, and I try to live my life by it. I don't make it most times, but talks about people in a manner of saying, small minds discuss people. Miss Eleanor said, average minds discuss events, and strong, great minds discuss ideas. So I'm going to try to concentrate on discussing a few more ideas and not worry about the drama that goes on around us as a small mind with people, or even an average mind with events. Something I got to work on, but I'm trying. Sissy ain't trying. She's got her bed made for the evening. Won't be no peas there, y'all. But there'll be peace there. I'll trade peas for peace any day. And she sure brings it to this old place. You are silly, girl. DW hadn't even acted up today as much as I was out in this garden. I expected him to get out there on me, but he never did. So we're just going to have to write that off to him being completely psychotic because he has no pattern. We got a mama baby in there sitting on well, she's not sitting on them. She's taking care of a couple little bitties that have hatched, and she's in mama mode. And if y'all have never seen that, that's worth looking at. Watching them cluck and tell them babies how to eat. And good stuff. The other chickens got their wings clipped last night because I knew I was planting peas today, and nobody gets to jump out of the coop for a week. But we'll see. A lot of rain ahead, but thank goodness I finally succumbed to the advice of my wildflower that I should have listened to a month ago and just get it done. But she's patient, and she knew I had to get there on my own, but it's still her idea, so we'll go with that. See, I'm learning. Yeah, I think I am trying to. All right, I'm going to do a roll call. I'm not really trusting this cell phone for very much stability, but we'll give it a shot. All right, y'all sound off where you're at. Sorry that if you're just watching this one, there's another video where I got this iPhone. I ran over it with that tractor about 2 months ago and paid a lick to get it fixed, and it's operable, but as you can see, we're having to do 2 lives tonight. So hope you enjoy them. Y'all share them if you want to. Just ramblings of an old East Texas boy trying to scratch out a little farm, I guess. We'll see. All right, let me see who all's on here. I'm sorry about the other video. It cut off, so I have no idea who was where and all that good stuff. All right, there's Miss Charlotte. How are you, ma'am? Pam Neely, I could use some fresh legs. I don't have any to sell you, Pam. You come on by and get them anytime you want. We got plenty. Appreciate your kindness and all the plants that you drop off along the way, but do come by anytime. No problem. There's Aggie. Good evening from Allen, Texas. Let's see. Miss Melissa. Got a little rain here in North Carolina, but our garden is already dry again. I was patting that ground to firm it up for them tomatoes, and that water was rising to the top. So don't have to worry about watering tomatoes. If they don't make it, that's their own fault. Can't do nothing for it. Misty says she'd never jump out of a plane either. Well, you're in good company, because I ain't jumping out of one either. That's just Ain't no reason to. I'm already down here. Why I got to go up there to jump down here? I was already here safe. Makes no sense. I won't even ride a roller coaster anymore. Anyway, that's another story. There's Bernice from Katy. Good to see you on. Pat's checking in, I think, from Florida. There's Mr. Matt from Robinson, Texas, good friend. Misty saying hello again. Well, I don't even know what's going on anymore. The proper word is not PTSD on this phone. That's not respectful. That's a serious situation. But I sure have my anxiety when I go live these days with this phone. I don't know what's going on. Good evening from the Pine Tree State, Gene says. Ooh, I'm going to step in it here. I think that's one of the Carolinas, isn't it? Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure I am. Pine Tree State. It's got to be the South. Got to be. Man, I knew I should have stayed. I took a nap that day in geography. I know I did. Probably stayed out too late being a bonehead, so I don't remember what it is. But maybe y'all can correct me. What was that Texas sign made of? Oh. What Texas sign, Charlotte? I don't know what you're referring to. Maybe it's this rain gauge. I got that on txtraders.net. They run the I Love Texas page. Good folks. I hope that's what you're talking about, because I don't know what else it would have been. There's a lot of Texas stuff around here. That's the only thing that came to mind. Hope that helps. Teddy from the North Carolina Hills. Now I got to figure out what the Pine Tree. That's going to bug me now. Pine Tree State. Feel ignorant. Hello from Connecticut, Maryland says. Aggie says everything sure looks nice. Yes, ma'am. I'm proud to have some green out there finally in the garden. West Tennessee, Miss is that? Go back. Is that who said Pine Tree State? Nope. Anyway, good to have you on as well, Charlotte. My good friend down Huntsville Way, Miss Donna Wells. Good to see you on, man. Wild man. Storming in McKinney, Texas, and more on the way. God bless. Yeah, we got some coming this way. It was raining just a minute ago, but I'm not even scared. Finally listened to a woman's advice and got it fixed. Boy, us men would save us a whole lot of trouble, wouldn't we, if we just listened to a woman every now and then? More than we do. All right, I'm going to get all the guys mad at me, but that's the truth. Hey, Melissa, good to see you. I like my feet on the ground, too. Shelly says, howdy from Marysville, Oklahoma. Alabama's in the house with Mona Lisa. Guess you still got your smile? All right, sorry about that. No, good to have you on. Charlotte said that's it, probably. Teddy from North Carolina, home of the longleaf pine. Matt says Maine. I guess that's an answer to my question. Amen from Maryland. All right, I'm all discombobulated because I had to do this twice tonight. I'm ADD as it is. I guess that about suits me. Sissy, they're going to be asking about you, girl. But I think we're going to go with the... Y'all going to think this is crazy. I'm going to make y'all Google it. You can't even spell it because I couldn't. But my daughter-in-law, Felicia, we was talking about names for the cat. Jordan and I first came up with D-O-G. We're ignorant. So you spell it D-O-G. Yeah, y'all get it now. D-O-G. No, we're not doing that. But I think, let me see if I can pronounce it. Schnocta. I think that's what it is. But I'll have to put that in the Washboard Musings group for those that don't know what that word is. If you're from Ireland, you might know what that word is. But it kind of fits that little old cat. It don't matter what you name a cat anyway. They ain't going to come when you call them. Right? I mean, you call them Harry Truman or Ronald Reagan or Moses. It don't matter. They ain't coming. They going to come when they good, real ready to come. But she's got it's actually he. I'm going to fix that pretty quick. I don't want the house sprayed up. Y'all know what that means. But I think he's about 7 weeks old. Knows what he needs to do and takes care of the litter box and all that good jazz. But he's a sweetheart. But anyway, I think we're going with Schnocta just because it's different. and it'll drive y'all crazy trying to spell it on Google to figure out what it is. Guess I'll have to tell you in the group. All right, I'm done. I'm like I said, I'm discombobulated. Two lives in a night. I'm lucky to do 2 in a week. I guess I did that too. All right, y'all have a good evening and be the light, and maybe listen to that woman's advice a little bit more, men. Usually works out pretty good when you do. At least that's what I'm seeing. All right. Good night, y'all. Be the light.